Hello, Ollie here. Welcome. So, what are MVP games? Well, there are three games that you can play with your team that are going to help you deliver digital products faster, whether that's an app, a website, or any number of other digital things. This process is going to help you solve the right problem. And MVP, which is a minimum viable product, is a way to do that. And these games are going to help you get on that course. They're going to give you a roadmap of what you could do next. They're going to get you out of stasis and into action. And they're really going to help you and your team agree on what you do next with your digital product. Let's begin. So why games? Well, I think that games are a great way of getting people in a safe space to discuss difficult things or look at problems that they might find difficult to otherwise solve. It also gets people a bit out of their comfort zone in a way that's fun, and it gets you connecting and talking to each other in a different way. We've been heavily influenced by a website and book called Game Storming, which I highly recommend Googling and checking out. By the way, to play these games, you're going to need a whiteboard, either virtual, something like Mural or Miro is really handy, and that's what we tend to use, or an actual physical whiteboard if you're able to actually be in the same room as each other. So any game is going to need some players, and in this case, your players are going to be your team. In your team, you are going to need a decision maker, someone who has vision and can break down barriers if needed. You're going to need a customer expert, someone who really understands your audience, what their pains and their needs are. You're going to need a product expert, someone who's been heavily involved in the existing product you have and understands how it works. You're going to need a project manager or facilitator, someone who's going to not only facilitate these games, but is also going to have to understand the team dynamics and how they work together. You're going to need a design expert, someone with a good understanding of brand, aesthetic, UI and UX. And you're going to need a technical expert, someone who understands the data side and the development processes that might need to go through in order to build these things. The first game is called the feature set. And what we're going to do here is initially think about our core audience needs and pains, the business itself, how it generates revenue, and the opportunities that it might have in this new world we find ourselves in. And you can start placing them onto the board like this. The aim of the game is to get out a big list of all the features you might have. And there's no bad ideas at this point. Group them, remove duplicates. And the rules are that everyone has a say. You need to go round the table and just make sure that everyone has their say here, from the designer, developer, through to the project manager and the product owner. The CEO goes last. They're going to have some great ideas and vision. We really need to hear from the core team first about what some good ideas are, because they're more on the ground. They might understand the customer a bit better at this point. Everyone should be open to ideas. At this point, as I said, there aren't really any bad ideas. We just want to get them all out. We want to embrace the chaos. And what you're going to end up with is a really big feature set that I then want you to group into different sets that maybe relate to each other. So you end up with a big list of features that we can take through to the next game. It's recommended that you take about an hour over each of these games. You can play them for longer if you want, but I think it's important just to keep things moving. And after you've finished the game, have a break, have a tea, lunch break, whatever you want to do. Make sure you walk around and free up your mind before you carry on. So, on to game 2. And this one's called the attractiveness map. And this is where it gets a bit more interesting. So we're going to create a matrix on your whiteboard. And the two axes are going to be the impact up on the left. And this is the impact that your product feature might have on your audience and the business. And you've got the challenge, which is the thing, how much challenges it's going to take to make, how much is going to be involved in delivering this feature. You're going to chop that matrix up into 4 quadrants. You've got gold mine, which is the things with high impact, low challenge. They're great things to build. They're going to be fairly easy to make, and you're pretty sure your customers are going to love it. The stars, high impact, high challenge, things that are going to take a lot more effort, but if you do create them and you manage to build them, they're going to have a really big impact. Quick wins, things that you may as well get done, and questionable, stuff that you really should be thinking twice about whether you do this, because the sheer amount of effort involved versus what people are going to get out of it at the other end really needs to be thought through. The aim of this game is to move the features that you defined in the first game into those 4 quadrants. And you're going to end up with a list of your most valuable problems. The rules are that you need to gather insight from the whole team. A bit like the first game, make sure everyone's involved in this. Be really honest about the impact. You really need to think, we're creating a product here and we want to be as lean as possible. Is this going to give us the impact we need? The tech team need to manage the challenge, as well as the designers, but really the data team or the person responsible for building this is going to have a really good idea of the magnitude of what's involved in creating this. You're going to end up with all of your features that you defined in the first game on the matrix. Move them around, discuss, like I said in the rules, and you're going to end up with this really good list to move on to the next game, because that's it. Hopefully this is all making sense. There is an article that's linked to in the description of this video which explains a bit more about minimum viable product and the process around it, some more about the games, and importantly some templates that you can download so you can play the games yourselves. It also means you can stop watching me if you like. The third and final game, the focused dartboard. This is where everything comes together. So on our board we want to create a view like this with 3 squares, one inside the other, a bit like a Russian doll. And now in the middle is where we're going to place the features from the first games that we want to build first in our MVP. So that's the aim here, move them into those quadrants. And we want you to be realistic, think about what's possible and make sure that you don't pile them all into the now column. Consider the bigger picture. What's it going to take to build this? Now you've established what the impact and challenge is, what should go into your MVP? The keep open column is where you'll put things that you're not sure what to do with yet. They seem interesting and they might be something you should build. The storage is the things that you want to kick into touch. They're the things that you can't commit to right now. Once you've done that, you want to start prioritizing the things in the now column. So I tend to make them red, orange and green. High being the thing that we really want to focus on first. And then something like the low or green tier is something that we do want to include, but isn't going to take as much time to develop. And that's the end of the game. So how did you find that? Well, hopefully you've got enough now to go off and play those games on your own. Try it with your team. MVP is a proven process. Lots of big companies like Google, Amazon, Facebook use it to deliver new versions of their products. We've used these games with our clients and they love them, and they always say that it gets them to the next step. It's something that moves them into that next realm of their product. It's fairly low investment and pretty high return for what you're doing. As I mentioned before, there are templates that we link to in the description of this video that you can download and get started with. And I suggest you just jump in and have a go. You're going to end up with a pretty clear roadmap of what to do next, some perspective and objectivity on what you should do. Hopefully you're all going to still like each other, which is most important. I'd love to hear from you about how you get on, and it'd be great to hear if this video has been useful to you. So be pragmatic, stay safe, goodbye.